Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Two Thumbs Up podcast, where today we have your fill of mobile news. There's been a lot, actually. I don't know the last time we recorded a podcast, but it feels like before we would have like 2 or 3 things to talk about, and we would just have to like really deep dive. But we have 6, 7 big news, noteworthy topics, and Bobby just right before we started recording crowned me, dubbed me as the mobile news guy, which I will happily take that crown and wear it, because for a little bit during the Fortnite mobile court case stuff, I was a legit like court reporter. Like I would watch the court, like the court proceedings, like research stuff online, and then I would like make a video once a week on it. So I felt like a news reporter back then, and I'm back to my roots, baby. Let's go.
All right, Ducky the reporter sounds too basic. I'll come up with something anchor. Better, but the news anchor?
It's just that's a mouthful.
Ducky the mobile porter.
Yeah, someone will figure it out. Someone will come up with something witty and clever that we can't think of. But yeah, first up is a game that's not even on mobile, CSGO. But leaks are
CS2.
Sorry. Okay, yeah. So I made a video and I kept like saying CSGO 2 mobile, and then I realized it's just Counter-Strike 2. But the whole time I thought it was CSGO 2, because people, that's what they're calling it at least. So I didn't really like catch up on the whole verbiage change. But Counter-Strike 2, there is like, but the leaks, they're so small. There's like a few lines of code that refer to mobile, like different platforms, and mobile being one of them. And then there's in CSGO you have a console where you can it's kind of like Minecraft, where you can type in commands, and there's a command, it's like mobile FPS counter, like limiter or something like that. So there's only 2.
Yeah, it said it was like capped at 30 FPS.
Yeah, I was like, dude, wicked, let's go. But it's not super. And then someone was saying that those commands in the console were actually left over from Dota Underworlds, which Dota Underworlds is a mobile like TFT, like Teamfight Tactics Auto Chess Battler from Dota. So they apparently that code has already been found before. So the only new stuff was like actually hard baked into the code. And so there's only one bit of information we have to go off of. And that could be similar to like the TFT, like the Underworlds, because Source 2, I think what they make their game on, is also compatible. Like it can run iOS and Android games. So if they wanted to, it's kind of like Unreal Engine for Fortnite. They can develop games on their Source 2 engine. And just, we could, in theory, have CSGO or CS2 tomorrow on mobile, but I doubt it. I think it'll be at least a year.
I don't know about tomorrow. That feels like a bit of a stretch, but...
Listen, you know what I meant. You know what I meant.
Yeah. I think it is a good sign, like you talked about. Like, it does have the cross-compatibility or whatever the right verbiage is for mobile. Obviously, it's far from a guarantee that it's coming to mobile, or at least that it's coming to mobile anytime soon. But we've seen a lot of different companies try to kind of adapt their game engines, like what we've seen with Warzone Mobile, trying to basically take IW8, which is the engine that Modern Warfare 2 is built on, and then try to integrate it into the mobile platform. And they haven't had a ton of success, at least not doing it easily. But the fact that Source 2 is already compatible with mobile is definitely a good sign. And also, once again, it's like we talked about with Valorant Mobile in the past, it's a lot easier to optimize a 5v5 first-person shooter than it is to optimize a 120-player Battle Royale. So it's a lot less work, more than likely, that you'll have to do, and the coding is pretty straightforward as well. Like, we've seen games like Critical Ops. How old is Critical Ops? Like 8 years or something like that?
I was just about to mention Critical Ops. That thing is ancient.
And it ran... as far as I know, it ran fine. I'm pretty sure it was on 120 FPS, like before COD Mobile even launched. So,
oh my gosh,
it definitely. I think it's the type of game that has the potential to thrive on mobile. Once again, the big question mark is the developer for each of these games.
Yeah, and I think in my video I stated as well, like I think a lot of PC players, when they hear like their game might be coming to mobile, like Valorant coming to mobile or Warzone to mobile, like a lot of the first question is like, why? Why do you want to bring it to mobile? First, it's just money. But secondly, a lot of these mobile games, there's demands for these types of games. There isn't a single good 5v5 tactical shooter out right now. Critical Ops Listen, okay, no, not again, dude. No, I did it again.
2 thumbs up podcast gets canceled again because we didn't hype up an 8-year-old game.
I meant like a new, like Critical Ops is playable. If you are looking for a 5v5 tactical shooter, go download Critical Ops, go b-hop and knife flip your way through the map. Like I'm sure you could do that. I meant, whenever I say that, I meant like new in the last like year or two, like relevant game. Critical Ops players, I'm sorry to bash on your rain on your parade, but the fact that Critical Ops is this old and has this dedicated of a fan base, I think it just goes to show if a CSGO or a Valorant, or Rainbow Six, whenever a tactical 5v5 shooter finally makes its way to mobile globally, I think it'll be really interesting to see the response from players, because it seems like everyone wants a game like that right now, but we just don't have anything new to latch onto. So I think mobile is ripe for one of these games to be released. It's just who, I guess, beats everyone else to the punch.
And who does it well.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
Because I think that's, we can kind of skip to this one, but I think we saw that a little bit with Rainbow Six, is they were like pushing, trying to get their game out as quickly as possible. And I think they started to see the difficulty of doing something like that on the mobile platform, because it is something that has taken a lot of time for companies like Timmy Studios and Lightspeed to actually master. So we have seen Rainbow Six make a little bit of a return, or at least it seems like they do this every couple of months. It's like, don't worry, guys, we're working behind the scenes. And it's a really weird change of pace, because before it was, you guys see everything that we're doing. We're going to have talks with the developers. We're going to have content creators live streaming with the developers. We're going to fly people out to our studio to see what we're working on. And then it's just like completely going dark. So it's a very big change of pace. But for Rainbow Six Siege, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing either.
I think it's a good thing. And I think that's because the mobile audience, and I for the life of me, I can't remember, maybe this just isn't how the PC game community is run, or maybe like a game is announced but the socials aren't made for a while, and like all the hype is kept towards the end. But mobile, it for the life of me, it feels different. It feels like whenever a game is announced, the socials are made and the hype starts there. The mobile community just takes, maybe it's because we just don't get things that often, new things.
Yeah, we just don't have as many options. That's what it comes down to.
We just like hyper focus on it. We start, putting out theories. What is it going to run? What this and that, and everyone's expectations slowly start to build. And by the time the game has come out, people are expecting, a golden goose egg, the perfect game. They have the most amazing game they've ever played for it to be in the palm of their hands. And it's not. Like Apex Mobile really fell victim to this. The game was just overhyped at launch by creators, players, everyone alike. And that it was a contributing factor to their downfall, as people expected, a polished game, and they got a good game, but not an amazing game. And that's just like kind of what spiraled out of control. So I think Rainbow Six might, like, Apex Mobile is a case study of what not to do. So if they're looking at that, it's like, okay, our game is not ready at all. We're going to need at least another 6 months. So let's save the hype to the last month and then let's go crazy. Like, I think it's better to bottle up the hype and then let it explode when the game launches than to have hype like always be kind of persistent throughout the game's like betas and whatnot, because then it's like, it just doesn't feel special when it launches, because like, I've already played the game 2 years ago. What's the big deal? So yeah, I'm hopeful. They seem like they're learning things and changing their approach. So like I said, it's interesting change, but I think it's one for the better and one that'll have a positive benefit later on down the line.
Yeah, I think like you said, the timing is definitely crucial. I think that's one thing that Warzone Mobile is trying to get right. It is difficult just because of like the scale of what they're trying to do. Like we said, trying to optimize, number one, an engine that's not built for mobile, and number two, 120 player battle royale. Those are two very difficult tasks, as well as being the first major shooter to have cross progression on multiple platforms as well. They're trying to do a lot of things that have never been done before. So that's part of the reason why the progression has not been at the speed that we would like for it to be. Now, we have had some new regions launched, I believe Chile, Sweden, and one more European country.
Bro just said Chile like the food. Chile, excuse you, sir?
It's Chile.
Is it, bro? No. If I Google translate this,
Chile? Do you want me? Is
there
that
you
better?
go. Yeah, I feel like we're about to go out to eat and get a 2 for $20s at Chili's.
Let me see. Chile. Here we go. Chile pronunciation.
Let's see. What?
Wait.
Oh, this is a YouTube
Why is this
video.
a 50-second video?
Yeah. Yeah, you're forgetting that Chile is not an English-speaking country. Its primary language is Spanish, and under the rules of Spanish pronunciation, the name of the country is correctly said as Chile. Hey.
Nope, you're wrong. It says chill plus EE. That's what I'm seeing right here.
Where? See,
This is according to Youglish.com.
See, yeah, okay, Youglish, bro. Anyways. See, yeah, we're getting mixed. This is a draw, all right? This is a draw. We'll settle our differences outside the podcast.
Okay.
But I do want to say, yeah, wait, it's Chile, Norway, Sweden, and Australia. Those are the 4 countries that have the game right now. To finish your sentence that I interrupted. But you did mention just then that Warzone was the first major mobile game to have cross progression. And I want to remind you.
Okay, Fortnite mobile, blah, blah, blah. Game's dead.
Well, we'll see. Listen, guys, this is really hard. There's a lot to explain, and I'm not going to deep dive into it. But basically, there's a really good chance Fortnite Mobile iOS is going to return to Europe later this year, but only Europe. And that's kind of concerning the way, at least they're phrasing it, because usually if you're like, oh, a game is launching in Chile, I can go VPN to there and download the game, install, and run off their servers, and I'll be fine. Well, this has something to do with like European regulations requiring people or Apple specifically to allow apps to be downloaded off of third-party app stores. That's the verbiage we have right now. So what comes to your mind when I say to allow apps to be downloaded off of third-party app stores? Like, how do you think that's going to work, Bobby?
Tap.
Okay. So my only thing is, if they allow it to where people can easily from outside of Europe just like download apps off third-party app stores willy-nilly, that's going to bypass their 30% revenue cut, and that's going to be hundreds of millions or billions of dollars of revenue and loss depending on the apps. I think they're going to be really restrictive about this personally and make it so it's like hard-coded into like region-specific iOS versions rather than push the iOS build, the same build to everyone, and then just region lock it, because then you can VPN, get around it, new Apple ID kind of thing. So I don't know. I'm pretty tentative on being like, oh yeah, I can VPN the game in September and download it. I feel more along the line it's going to be some sort of like region locked feature, which is why I'm kind of scared, to be honest.
You know, normally I wouldn't care about a Fortnite mobile update, but I will say that the Fortnite Creative 2.0 release has
crazy.
Actually, it's definitely piqued my interest just because, like, number one, they on launch had a Call of Duty type map. It was basically one that was modeled after Rust, and you played Domination. And I believe, if I understand correctly, that they're introducing FPP into Fortnite as well that you can use alongside the Creative 2.0. So those combinations, like the fact that somebody could potentially make a Verdansk where you can play FPP, it would basically be like an all-new Warzone mobile experience just on the Fortnite engine, which would be absolutely insane.
Yeah, and the Fortnite engine back in the day was goated. Like, iOS was the smoothest gameplay ever. Like 120 FPS, no frame drops back in like 2019 on a battle royale. Which is funny because Warzone gets like 60 FPS and the graphics are like potatoes.
And I got my new iPad cooler, so even if it does start to heat up a little bit, I can just flip that sucker on.
Slap it on. So I don't know. We'll see. The thing about Fortnite Mobile is anytime my hopes get high, they get crushed. So I use the expression, keep your expectations low, and then nothing can disappoint you. So if I expect to not be able to download the game, then okay, can't download it, no problem. But it'd be really funny if I flew to Europe, like bought a European iPhone, like downloaded Fortnite. Like, wouldn't that be funny? It'd be a prank. Be a joke. Totally not gonna do that.
So unnecessary. Oh my gosh.
That'd be, dude.
The fact that you even thought of that.
I mean, I just don't have it right now, but you know, maybe throw some miles at it, get like a fly, and we'll see. We'll see what happens later on.
Sounds like Ducky's just trying to move to Europe. That's what I'm hearing.
No. Ooh.
No? Okay.
Bro, well, you have to get like okay, for a brief stint, I was like, what would happen if I wanted to? And then I forgot, like, I have to get like work visas and like independent like tax. I was like, how do taxes work if am I gonna get taxed by Europe? And I was like, bro, I'm not getting double taxed. Like, I'm not getting, like, I was like, oh, it sounds fun. And then you're like, logistically, there's governments and policies, and you're like, that's not gonna happen. So maybe
just don't tell the government you're there.
Yeah, just have come back and my mailbox is overflowing from like, yo, bro, give us our money, and I'll just go back to Europe.
All right. Well, in other news, this is like slightly old news, but because the last podcast that we had was talking about the fact that Microsoft had indicated that they plan to phase out Call of Duty Mobile, since then, Call of Duty Mobile has actually announced, as much as is in their power, that they do not have any intention of COD Mobile going anywhere in the near future. Now, with that being said, there's a couple things you need to know. Number one, that's Activision's stance, and the information that we received previously about Microsoft's plans don't really have anything to do with Activision's stance. Number two, it seems like what Microsoft was doing is mainly trying to just convince a governing body that the merger between Activision and Microsoft should be allowed to happen in the first place. So it was less in regards to we don't want COD Mobile around anymore, and more as a persuasive type thing that they're trying to do. And there are other things that are happening in the background that we can't really talk about because these were leaked documents that are like very, very secretive. But all that to say, it seems like COD Mobile is probably not going anywhere anytime soon.
Wait, how did you get the document again? Because you got like
leakers.
But they just like DM'd you. They're like, hey, bro, you want this? Oh,
yeah.
That's so funny. I didn't get that DM, but I wouldn't have known what to know that DM anyways. I mean, I don't know. I think it was really far-fetched in the first place to be like, here's COD Mobile, a game that makes you $30 million a month that everyone loves, PC, console, mobile players alike. And here comes Warzone Mobile, a game that is nowhere close to ready to launch, that you're gonna already plan ahead of time to phase out. Like, what if it's an Apex Mobile 2.0? Listen, I'm not putting my curse on it, but just imagine.
Did somebody say Apex Mobile 2.0?
We'll talk about it in a second. But just for imagine, like, this is like the second, like, that is not what you want to do. You don't take a successful investment, a successful project, a successful business venture, and axe it off to try something riskier that's not proven. So I thought from the beginning it was really far-fetched, and also it seemed like the way they were saying it was like they were going to slowly phase it out over years, rather than their typical time frame of like a year with new Call of Duty. So I think everyone, once again, the mobile community, when we get news, we don't know how to react. We get a new game launch, sick, it's gonna be the best game ever. Game might be shutting down in like 5 years. We're all doomed. My skins are gone. My $80,000 account is gone. So I think we always either jump to the best of conclusions or the worst of conclusions. And it'll be fine. Once again, I think if COD Mobile starts to lose market share to Warzone Mobile, then there's a little bit to be worried about. Like, if the stats come out and, oh my God, Warzone Mobile made $60 million and COD Mobile made $10 million, well, then you can see, okay, this thing's making a lot of money, this thing's not making a lot of money. What happens from there? But that's a way, way down the road. We won't have to worry about that or entertain that idea for a while. But something we might be entertaining, Apex Mobile 2.0.
Wait, I have more to say.
Oh, boo. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
The one thing I was going to say is I think that, like, even if the acquisition doesn't happen in the first place, I think a COD Mobile phase out is something that's going to happen in the next couple of years anyway, because as it is, like, the game needs an updated version. The engine that it's built on is not a new one. It's not one that is like insanely optimized for low end. It doesn't really have a super high ceiling as far as graphics go. And kind of the nature of Call of Duty in general, like we talked about before, like they're used to phase outs because people want the next new thing. And right now it seems like people are kind of itching for like a new multiplayer. So they're like, well, Warzone Mobile's right here. I think like once those developers at Activision really get down how they're going to handle the development of the mobile platform, they can start to refine that and probably look at a future game that would be like basically Call of Duty Mobile 2, which would be a more updated, a cleaner, different movement, better graphics, whatever it is version of Call of Duty Mobile. And I think that's probably the direction it's going to head in the future regardless. Now, once again, that's probably like 2-3 years at the soonest, but it is something that's bound to happen either way.
Yeah, and I guess people never even thought of like, oh, if they're phasing out COD Mobile, that could just mean they're phasing out or like putting in COD Mobile 2, or do they even what was it like, or did they just say like for Warzone Mobile to replace COD Mobile? Is that what they?
Yeah, basically.
Hoped? Okay, yeah. Oh, well, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Apex Mobile 2.0, bro. What the? Who is making this? Who is script writing this, bro? Like, the NBA and NFL script writers must have hopped over to mobile gaming because you just can't make this up. First, the game announces it's shutting down. We don't think we're getting the Season 4 update. Then the Season 4 update comes out, and it's actually really freaking good, but we can't buy anything because they've disabled purchases, so we can't experience the heirlooms and the battle pass and the skins. And you're like, why did you release this update in the first place? And then the game is coming out in China now, but it's not like it is, but I'm so confused on what Apex Mobile is even doing right, or is even happening.
So I will say, as far as the COD Mobile release, it was the Chinese version of COD Mobile was on a somewhat similar time frame to what the Apex Mobile Chinese version has been as well. I think it was around either a year or a year and a half into COD Mobile that the Chinese version was even approved, and it's just because their like process of approving games is so much more like strenuous and specific that you can't really release a game fully before that because there's so much like governance over how that happens. I have a feeling that's probably the same thing, and the COD Mobile Chinese version does have like some different skins, some different things, but overall it is the same game. I'm assuming that's probably what's happening with Apex Mobile, and once again, something they talked about with the quote-unquote phase-out of Warzone Mobile, or not Warzone Mobile, of COD Mobile, is that the Chinese version of the game would still be around. That's because the developers are in China, they can have a little bit more leeway in how they're going to produce it in general.
I just assumed, like, that there was already a Chinese version. Maybe that's just me being naive, but I was like, oh, the Japanese community is, like, massive. Like, I guess I just, in my mind, like, bunched that group all together, which obviously isn't right because the game never existed in China. But I just, like, I don't know. Like, so if it's a different developer, it's still, I mean, they're redesigning, so, here, do you think
what are they redesigning?
Like, the skins,
right?
Yeah, but, like, no.
But the skins don't actually change anything.
No, I know that, but, like, why would they're redesigning every skin. Like, so I don't know if this is like let me go check this out. Apparently, China's Apex Mobile will most likely have World's Edge or King's Canyon with some changes. Oh, so it is just the game.
Yeah.
Dude, they gave up on the NA market. They're like, China, here we come, back on our bags. Bro, what? Was no way this was their plan.
Oh no, I mean, it might have been the plan for the Chinese version to release at this point in time, but I don't think it was under the assumption that the global version would be shutting down as well. I think it's just like a coincidence, if I had to guess.
The leaker bot said apparently this game is separate from EA and is all in Tencent's hands. I suppose that's why Tencent were adamant on continuing the game. This could potentially still be a thing. And then that was like a week ago. And then today, they just started dropping skin leaks and character leaks and Octane. Yeah, whenever Octane, instead of like using an injection and like injecting his arm, he like drinks a drink to go fast. So
yeah, there's things like that in the Chinese version. Like you had to, I think they had to, the Chinese version of COD Mobile, you couldn't have red blood. It had to have green blood because you're not allowed to like show blood in video games over there or whatever. So that is something else that COD Mobile China had, is like small changes in the game that don't change the game mechanically, but have to be able to comply with their weird gaming laws in order to get released.
Listen to this. In Chinese PUBG Mobile, when they die, they don't fall on the ground. They sit down and like wave goodbye.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it looks like if it's in Tencent's hands. I mean, Tencent's capable. Like we all know they can make a mobile game. But like, isn't like there's like Chinese has their own it's like all consolidated. Like we'll probably never see Chinese gameplay unless it's leaked, right? Because Chinese gameplay or like they have their own YouTube.
No, you can. I've played the Chinese version of COD Mobile. Now it's very difficult to do because you have to have a QQ account.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can't really make a QQ account unless you're in China or you have like connections with somebody who has a Chinese phone number. I've even tried like fake Chinese phone numbers and it still didn't work. So
how'd
it's
you play?
very, very complicated. I use somebody else's account.
Dude, imagine like the Chinese government find out and they're just like, bro got in trouble. They're like, you let an American use your account? Like, prison. Yeah. No. I'm not even, if that's what I have to do, I'm not touching that game, bro. I'm not touching that game with a 10-foot pole.
Oh yeah, it's pretty complex.
Oh man, so I don't know. Apex Mobile, the script keeps getting crazier and crazier. The last like 2.5 months have just been a joke, and it continues to just be hilarious. But a game that's not a joke, Arena Breakout. They recently had a bunch of creators, I was one of them, out in Los Angeles, California. Which, do you like LA? You've been, right?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of LA.
I always, like, I've been to like every big city. I've like been fortunate enough to travel around, and I don't get it. Like, maybe it's like Hollywood. Like, I would recommend 10 times over to not go to LA.
No,
like,
it's just dirty. It's dirty and crowded, and it takes forever to get anywhere. And
yeah, it's just
not really worth the hype.
No, and it's expensive too. It's like all that stuff, and you're like, bro, I gotta pay twice as much for a coffee as I do back home. Like, what am I doing? Anyways, we're out in LA, and we were there for Arena Breakout, this was interesting because anytime I've traveled a few times for like gaming stuff, most notably and recently the Warzone mobile event in London, and in that event, we played the game like 5 hours a day for 2 days, right? It was so much it was focused nothing else but gameplay, and that was it. Where Arena Breakout, that was not the focus of the event at all. We went in, like we actually met the head of the studio, the head of the guy making the game, which I had never, like, at Warzone Mobile, or was that guy Chris? Is that his name?
There were a lot of developers at the Warzone Mobile thing.
Yeah, I know there's a lot.
Chris is like the head of the executive producer or whatever. I don't even know what it's called.
Okay, yeah. Well, this guy was like, he was like the boss of like all 300 people working on the game, kind of thing. Like I was like, whoa, I don't know if I've ever met like anyone like that before. But we met them. We met some other people from the team, and then we only played the game for an hour, which our first, because Arena Breakout, you have to like buy your stuff and make your loadouts. So everyone's first 15 minutes was just spent making their loadouts, and then I accidentally killed my teammate. So you guys will see that soon, but it was fun. It was good fun.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing all the content that comes out of it. Obviously, would have liked to be there, but sounds like a interesting event to say the least.
It was a really fun event. It'll be easier to explain it in the video when it drops, where this was more of just me being like, I thought we were gonna do this, and then we did this. I thought we were gonna do this and that. So, but it was fun. It was wholesome fun. All right.
Anything else?
I think that's it. I don't know. I'm all out of news. News guys tapping out.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the podcast. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you don't want to miss out on any of the episodes, make sure to subscribe or follow on whatever platform you're on. Keep along with us on, I'm just going to say Twitter. I don't ever post on the Instagram, but the Twitter is active sometimes. So make sure you guys are following there, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Deuces.